in this episode of the Smarter Artist Show.
You know what? I don't know that I would object. I think we can mix it up. What if we did that? What if we had like 3 different show types that we did? And here's like one practical, one bullshit, hypotheticals, whatever you want to do, and one that was alternate ending. Something like that.
I feel like we totally have to change the name of our show then from Smarter Artist Show to like 3 dumbasses talking about shit. I don't know.
That sounds like a perfect name.
Me.
Hello, we're back. The Smarter Artist Show with all of us are here today.
Hasn't it been all of us for? I mean, I think I missed one, but didn't we all miss it because you ran like some extra stuff?
Yeah, it was nonsense. I was traveling, and then like something has happened. Like the calendar exploded basically, and next week will be a rerun also because I'm on vacation. Yay! This isn't my something cool, but it is something cool. Next week I will be celebrating my 25th wedding anniversary. I'm very excited. I'm taking 10 days, and we're just we're hanging out. So there will not be an episode next week. You'll be reaching into that alternate ending locker that you've been pulling from.
You know, I really like that podcast. Like, no bullshit. Like, I there's just part of me that was like, fuck this one and let's do that one full time. But you know,
you know what? I don't know that I would object. I think we can mix it up. What if we did that? What if we had like 3 different show types that we did? And here's like one practical, one bullshit, hypotheticals, whatever you want to do, and one that was alternate ending. Something like that. I
feel like we totally have to change the name of our show then from Smarter Artist Show to like 3 dumbasses talking about shit. I don't know.
That sounds like a perfect name.
I do like that title. Can you imagine if we actually called it 3 dumbasses talking about shit?
I wouldn't have a problem with it.
I wouldn't either. I dig it. Johnny, would you object?
Oh, as if I give a fuck about anything. Come on, guys. Who are you talking to?
I think we should seriously consider this.
All right. Don't steal that idea, anybody watching.
Worst
should we
show
get the domain
ever.
now?
Why don't you call worst show ever?
We could do that.
Yeah.
I feel like there's expectations with that, though. Like
True. This show wasn't bad enough. 1 star.
No, people are expecting, old Dave to deliver the sadness.
10 out
so
of
you're
10
not even
would
talking
listen again.
about, like,
1 star.
You're not talking about like expectations that it's the worst. You're talking about expectations that like you are the worst, like you specifically.
Yeah, I have to live up to the billing, and I don't know if I'm capable anymore.
That's true. You are slightly healthier than you were in those days.
Yeah, and I'm less prone to anger. I don't know. I think
really?
I just stopped caring.
You are less prone to anger, and Johnny's more prone to anger.
I'm more prone to curmudgeonry.
Are you voted most likely to yell at children to get off your lawn?
Well, can you imagine? I'm just thinking like, I'm just going to ignore your question and answer differently. I'm just trying to imagine how terrible it would be if we went back to worst show ever and people started saying they liked it. That would suck. What are we talking about, Dave? Do we?
Yeah. What is the
know?
topic, Dave?
All right, topic of the day is so. I got to preface this a little. Somebody emailed me. They are a writer, kind of like me, like many years ago. They're a writer who hasn't actually finished anything. And now they're kind of torn. 1, they're struggling to finish anything. 2, they're not sure what they want to write. And that brought me back. I started thinking about, like, what we started writing and, kind of the journey that we're on. Like, why did we start where we did? What inspired us early on? And then why do we choose the books afterwards that we did? And what we would do, if we were starting over today. And
I love this topic. Yeah, this is great.
And how much, money plays into the whole thing. Because it is a factor. It does determine, what you write. And I'll save my thought that I had while responding to this email for later in the discussion. But I thought it would be an interesting discussion.
Yeah.
At the very worst, it'll be awful, and yay.
I think it'll be an interesting discussion. At the very worst, it'll be awful.
Yes.
There's like a spectrum in there. I figure at the very least, it'll be less than perfect.
I stole that from my wedding vows. That was a line in there.
Dave, do you have your wedding vows? I would really love to read them.
I think. Hold on, let me think. I believe we might have just done the church vows. I don't know if I wrote my own.
Wait. Wait.
Well, that's probably why she can't load the dishwasher or park correctly.
You
didn't get it in writing.
Church?
Oh yeah.
How did you not burst into flames?
It is interesting. The church we got married in, I actually liked the pastor. And then when I was a reporter, I had to uncover some,
Relationships with children?
No, it wasn't that bad. It was just some misdoings in the church, and a lot of people looking to snipe other people. And I realized he was not as good a guy as I thought, because he kind of I don't know. It was eye-opening. It's hard to fool me as to what kind of person you are, but this is one of the times I actually chose to have faith in somebody, that they were, an honest broker, and they were fucking liars.
This explains so many of your storylines.
Yeah, it's
Never
not
trust
just hard,
anybody.
It's not just hard to fool Dave. It's hard to be somebody who's not trying to fool Dave and still not be convicted by the court.
Hey,
of
Johnny, remember how it took you 8 years before Dave trusted you?
Oh, he still doesn't trust me.
I run a background check on all three of you, or all two of you, and myself.
if you were to
I
zoom
bet
out-
I bet you it's all three. I bet you run a back.
If you guys, I'm going to turn my computer a little bit. There's a drone hovering right here with a camera on it. I don't know whose it is.
Dave,
So
do you have
do we-
something cool?
Yeah, you guys, who wants to go first?
I can go because mine's kind of dumb. Well, because it's cool in one way. It's cool on the surface, but it's like some of J.J. Abrams' later movies, where it's cool on the surface, and then you dig in, and you're like, "What the fuck is going
I
on
know
here?"
exactly how cool this is now.
Right. Like the Cloverfield paradox sounded like a good idea until you watched it. So and this is I call this as something, what the fuck. So as I mentioned a few weeks ago, I finally caved and started an Instagram account. And so I'm kind of playing around, and it's the way it works is with reels in particular, the little videos, if they're under, I think 90 seconds or 3 minutes, I forget what it is, they go out mostly to people who don't follow you. Those are the ones that reach out into the world based on whatever they're about. So anyway, I was just making some just dumb little videos, and I had one where I'd kind of be thinking on the kind of going like this, and it's and then I'd put text over the screen or something like that. And so I made one that was hold on, let me find them here for you, because I think this is kind of amusing. So I had I had one that did pretty well, where I was when the plot of your book twists so much you can no longer solve the mystery you curated. And that one did okay. And so I made a few of them, and then once I was driving in the car, and my Spotify was on shuffle, and then some ska song came on, and Austin, who's in the back seat, says, I saw this thing on the internet a while ago where somebody described ska music as the music that plays inside a 10-year-old's brain when they're about to eat mozzarella sticks. And I thought it was the funniest fucking thing that I made one of those videos. And it says, my son just described ska music as the music, blah, blah, blah. And I can't stop thinking about it. And that video now has 600,000 views, 30,000 shares, 22,000 likes. And it looks like this big success until you realize that it means nothing. It means nothing. It's who gives a fuck that's out there?
Mighty Boss Tone fans are suddenly finding you.
Well, and even worse is because it's going out to people that you don't know, there's a bunch of people who are that's an old meme. You're lying. Your son didn't say that. I'm I said that it's in the thing. He found it on. I didn't say it was new. It wasn't an original thought. I'm I don't really feel like defending myself from internet trolls just because I posted something that was amusing. So I keep hoping it'll die, but it isn't. Like it keeps going up. Like I wish it would stop. So anyway, there's the power and the uselessness of going viral.
I would just keep rage baiting them.
Yeah, I mean, that wasn't deliberate rage bait.
Outright. Wow. Okay. So, okay, that's Johnny's something cool. I guess I'll go. My something cool. You know, it was going to be. So, watching
change.
shows. Well, it will be Murderbot. Do y'all have you seen that?
I know
wasn't
it.
that
I
your
haven't
something
seen it.
cool like a year ago?
No, I never saw it before.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
Oh, all right. Murderbot's cool.
Yeah. But the other show I liked with the dude from the IT crowd.
Yeah. The big door prize.
Yeah, it's the dumbest name ever for a show. So, I started watching with my son, and I really fucking loved the show. And then my son, he didn't wait for me, so he just like watched the rest of season 1 and then went to season 2. He's like, yeah, you're probably not going to like the ending. He's like, they leave it on a big cliffhanger, and I don't think it's ever coming back. So, and I looked, and yes, they did cancel it. And I'm like, what the fuck, Apple? I thought you guys were above that. So
Yeah, I agree. I did enjoy that show.
it felt like a Sean show to me.
Yeah, I liked a lot about it. I liked the first season a lot more than the second season, but I do think it needed a third season.
Did you see it, Johnny? Mm-mm. Okay, so the premise is like this machine shows up in town. Basically, this machine tells you your fortune in one word, like what you're going to be. Like it might say like professor or something. So it's all these people in town, and each episode is like a different character. And the struggle that they have with, you know, the thing that their potential, what it was supposed to be, and, you know, what they're currently doing in their life. And it's sort of an existential show, but with humor and heart.
Yeah, that's great.
So, yeah, I'm disappointed that, like, when a show, like, fucking doesn't have an ending, like, do I want to invest the rest of my time in it or not? I don't know.
Well, it's it's still fun to watch. What were you going to say, Johnny?
Well, I was going to say the example for that for me is 1899, which I liked, but I'm like, well, I still think it was worth watching. I still think it was really cool.
The Netflix show by the guys that did Dark.
The guys that did Dark.
Yeah. But actually, to Johnny's point, that is one where I actively did not watch it. I watched the pilot, and then I heard that it did not get renewed, and I'm like, I don't care that much. Like, I still
think it's worth it. Like the answers you don't get the answers, but it was still compelling enough, and I saw what they were doing enough that I appreciated the ride. And the cliffhanger at the end of season 1 is such a hard pivot that it's almost like you can put season 1 in its box and say, okay, well, that's done. I would have liked to have seen where they went, especially after watching Dark, but what are you going to do?
I watched the first episode and the last 10 minutes of the series.
So there couldn't be 2 more different sequences in history.
So, all right, my something cool is also it's not exactly Apple TV, but it's Apple TV related. So, have you seen Cape Fear on Apple TV?
My son won't watch that one because I think it's pretty gory. He doesn't like bloody stuff. So,
it's more psychologically terrible than
okay.
Yeah,
bloody.
I mean, I've had my Cape Fear fill. Like I've already seen it twice in 2 different forms. I didn't need a third form.
Well, this is a 10 episode version, so it's 5 times longer than the second longest one.
And do they actually add anything to it by extending it that far? Like, there's some movies I watch, I'm like, oh, that'd make a great TV show.
I think it's
not one of them.
No, I think it's too long for sure. It takes too long to get going. The characters make stupid choices, like one after another, where you're like, okay, I just can't believe this anymore. What I like most about it is like its aesthetic, like it's beautiful. It's got this like gothic horror fever dream color palette, and it's like all Apple shows. Like it looks great, and I find Javier Bardem very watchable. And there are things to like about it, but it does take way too long, and there's plot holes all over the place. Whatever.
Did
That's
they
not my-
tone down on the creepy shit with a daughter in this version?
No,
Oh, I assume they turned that up.
no, yeah, yeah. Crank it up.
It wasn't in the first movie, though, was it? Like it wasn't.
No, because the first movie was Gregory Peck in 1962.
That version, I don't know if you've rewatched the Robert De Niro Cape Fear recently, but that is a hard watch. I watched it like a year ago and I was like, oh shit, I did not remember how rough this is.
Yeah, it's fucked up. But that's actually my story. It's not my something cool isn't the Apple version. It's that I did a little bit of reading after the Apple version came out, and I did not know this story. I think this story is so cool. So I was looking it up because I wanted to know what Spielberg's involvement, because the TV show is produced by Scorsese and Spielberg. And I just watched a Scorsese documentary on Apple TV, which is pretty good, and it talked about Cape Fear, which made me curious enough to watch Cape Fear. All the episodes were out, so I started. But the story is, the Cape Fear remake came out in 1991, and originally Spielberg was going to remake that. Which I can totally see how Spielberg would have been attracted to it. You know, it's an original 1962 story. It's Gregory Peck. It's, a family and like all of a sudden in danger. But then he backed out. He's like, this is just too dark for me to actually, go where this story needs to go. It's not really my cup. And so he offered it to Scorsese. Meanwhile, Scorsese had a project that he had the rights to that he decided wasn't quite right for him, so they swapped. And that other project was Schindler's List.
Oh my God! Can you imagine a Scorsese Schindler's List?
No. I want to live in the timeline just for a day, just to see the Spielberg Cape Fear and the Scorsese Schindler's List as a double feature. Holy shit.
I want to see the Tarantino version of Schindler's List.
So that story just I love little nuggets like that. I didn't know that about either thing. My favorite Schindler's List story actually is
Don't we all have one?
This is actually not really a Schindler's List story. It's a Spielberg story. So my least favorite Spielberg movie, it might not be anymore, but at the time I saw it, it was definitely my least favorite Spielberg movie was Hook. I just thought Hook was like kind of garbage, and just like everything, like all Spielberg's worst tendencies are in that movie. And I love Spielberg, when Spielberg is great. And I just remember like being so disappointed in the theater.
I think I walked out of that.
That would not surprise me. It's kind of worth walking out on. And so, I heard this story many years later, and I don't know how true it is. It's maybe just Hollywood legend, but man, I love it. And even if the details that I'm about to say aren't true, the fact of what happened the next year is true. So, yeah, he had the public screening, the red carpet premiere for Hook in Hollywood. And about halfway through the movie, he realizes how bad it is.
I've heard this story too.
And
He walked out.
Yes.
He did. Yeah. He walked out of his own screening. He went to his limousine and he cried.
Yep, that's a story I heard too.
And then the next year, in 1 year, back to back, he made Jurassic Park and Schindler's List. It was like Spielberg from his low to he's like, fuck it, I'm going to do it all the way. And I just love that story as like an artist who kind of lost their way and let their worst tendencies, get the best of them. And they just came back and did like the best work of their career back to back. I love that story.
Yeah, but what about M. Night Shyamalan making Lady in the Water and The Last Airbender and then coming back and making Trap?
You know what?
Old. I mean, come on. Cinematic
it's
genius.
Funny that you say that, though, because like it is that story and stories like that made me keep believing that Shyamalan was going to come back. Like, I did think that after Lady in the Water, he would come back.
He did with Split, but then Glass fucked that
Glass
up.
was terrible.
But barely, though.
I like Split, even before the twist.
I did too. I did too, but he was never. It's not like
it wasn't Unbreakable.
Yeah, you can't compare Split to Jurassic Park or Schindler's List. Like,
Well, no, obviously not.
right, but Spielberg made Hook, and then he made Jurassic Park and Schindler's List. I mean, Jurassic Park, it's not just that Jurassic Park is a great blockbuster. It's that, like, it made dinosaurs real. Like, it made CG real for, the first time. Like, well, the T-1000 was pretty damn impressive. But, like, right, like dinosaurs. Like,
Oh, are you saying Land of the Lost didn't do that?
it got halfway there. Let's say that.
Talking about the 70s TV show, not whatever you might have seen afterwards.
They're remaking that again.
Awful. No, I loved that as a kid. It like creeped me out.
Yeah, the remake I actually have hope for because I think it's legendary. I think that's right. Like it's a big studio doing cool shit with it and like mythology and all that. Not like the Will Ferrell version at all.
Well, I know
All right.
we're moving on, but I really wanted to see Joe Pesci as Oscar Schindler. So maybe in another timeline.
I want to see Spielberg's version of The Happening.
The Happening.
That is the worst M. Night movie ever. That is like the only one that
That's a pretty deep category.
I saw Lady in the Water and I didn't hate it in the theater. It wasn't what I wanted, but like I appreciated what he was doing. But The Happening, that's like the only time I was like, fuck this movie, like from his movies. So
I mean, we
Yeah.
still talk about how terrible like Trap was and stuff. Do you know that scene in Monty Python and the Holy Grail when the animator suffers the fatal heart attack? And, he just like suddenly dies in the middle of animating a scene. I think that's what happened with Shyamalan, but it was like an embolism and just nobody knew. Because
I think Trap is way better than Old. Old is so
I didn't
terrible.
see Old, but Trap was really fucking stupid. There were so many stupid things in Trap that we just started laughing at it. I don't understand. I don't want to go down a whole M. Night like rabbit hole, but his first movies were so good, and his later movies are so bad. It's not a slow decline. It's like, what happened to this dude? Is he trying to make bad movies?
Dave, do we have any Shyamalan alternate ending episodes in the
I
bank?
don't know if we do.
Because that'd be fun to air next. Are you airing them in order, or are you?
Yeah,
choosing-
they're going in order.
All right, that's cool.
See,
All
an
right.
alternate ending on that wouldn't work because his good movies, I wouldn't touch the endings. They're so good. And his bad movies, it's like, should I
You wouldn't
polish?
touch. Period.
Should I
Fix the
polish
beginning.
this turd? Right? Like,
Alternate movie.
yeah.
Shit.
By the
now I
way,
can't
so
remember.
before we move on, how are people responding to alternate ending? Because I really loved recording those.
Yeah, people like them. I heard good things so far. So I think the viewership on the last one was a little lower, but it also like our email didn't go out till the weekend. So
I feel like those should be their own podcast too, because I can see people being like, "Well, fuck this Smarter Artist show. I'm into this filler. Can I please be gone for the next year?"
Wait, what's the new name of our show? Three assholes talking about shit. What was it?
yeah, something like that, or three dumbasses. I don't know.
Three dumbasses talking about shit.
Well,
Three
speaking about
guys,
talking
one
about
mic.
shit, let's
Yes.
talk about shit.
All right, let's do that.
All right.
So, all right. We'll start with you, Johnny, because I mean, I feel like we've talked about Sean's origin, but we'll get to that. But you, when did you decide you wanted to be a writer? Is it something like you always did when you were a kid and you wanted to write stories, or what?
Yeah, I mean, I always did write, and I have this memory of like writing when I was certainly under 10 on a typewriter at my grandmother's house. So I at least thought that was cool. I don't remember if it was like always my ambition, but it has been, practically speaking, and it was always like once I had an ambition, it was definitely my true north. Like I want to do that. And so the decisions I made along the way were of necessity. The decisions that moved me away from writing were of necessity because writing wasn't practical yet. It wasn't until, 2010 or so that it started to feel practical.
So what inspired you early on? Like, were there books you read as a kid that you're like, I want to do something like this?
I remember thinking that about Stephen King.
What was your first Stephen King book?
It was Thinner.
Oh,
Because my dad, which is
interesting.
actually a Bachman book. So my dad curated that. He was like this huge King fan. And so when it came time for me to, he was like, it was one of those things like, I think you might be ready for Stephen King. And it was, it had been led up to. And then he wanted to like pick them in order. So I did Thinner first, I think because it was a smaller book with a kind of pretty simple concept. And then I feel like I did Salem's Lot second.
And how old were you?
I don't remember. I
5.
wasn't super young. But I could have been 10 or 11 though.
Oh, so like elementary school.
Yeah. It was definitely elementary.
So what made you? So your first book was your first attempt at a book, Bialy Pimps.
Well, yes and no. So it was my first attempt at a real book because it actually got somewhere before it became problematic. I had many things that I started because I never wanted to write stories. I never wanted to write shorts. I started with books, and there were a bunch that made it as far as like a chapter. Like those don't even feel like attempts because they didn't go anywhere at all. So, I mean, maybe I had a few chapters. Like I do remember that. I do remember there being a few that kind of made it a ways, and I was good for the time at like creating settings and situations or scenes, but not so good at the actual plot part. Not so good at the actual like things have to happen. And even my first finished book, The Bialy Pimps, started out as a whole bunch of, because if you've read that, it's a bunch of individual chapters that basically profile one person or situation, and that goes on for a long time. And then only after a while did I realize maybe something should happen here. And it only got that far because
A gunman walks in.
well, because I had these characters. So the backstory, just briefly, of the Bialy Pimps was that I worked in this like ridiculous college bagel deli in college, and it was great, and I loved it. And then when I left that, it was this kind of existential crisis because I liked being there and I didn't like where I ended up. And so that was my way of revisiting it. So it was like I was just telling the stories of people who at the time were real people and a real situation. And I had in mind that something would happen, but not really. So the original, they were like vignettes that were just recapturing this time and these people. And then it took me a while to realize, I should maybe connect them and have a story.
So your first book was really for you.
Very much. But
Every
arguably
book
that's
is for Johnny. That hasn't changed.
yeah, no, it's true. If I'm
Was
not
Fat
interested
Vampire for Johnny? I thought that was like, an attempt to like.
well,
make
they're
a-
all for me. And then it's
Oh.
like I like the idea that other people would want to read them too. But I mean,
But that was a genre book. That wasn't like a literary book, is what I'm trying to say.
well, the Bialy Pimps was more purely for me. Like that felt like I needed to. It was a survival coping mechanism because I was like having panic attacks and shit.
Okay. Sean, your first was it Stephen King? The first
Oh
book.
yeah. What, no, the first book I read, the first grown up book that wasn't like a kid's book that I remember reading was The Hobbit.
Okay.
And I read that because it was my mom's favorite book, and I was 5 years old. I remember this very, very distinctly because she had been talking about The Hobbit like my whole life. About like she would do the Gollum voice and call me my precious and shit. Johnny's met my mom, so he can
Does
totally
she do that
picture
for the raccoons now?
I bet she does actually.
Was her Gollum like prescient of the one that would eventually come in the movies?
Oh yeah, dude! Like my mom sounds like Andy Serkis. I'm not even kidding. So yeah, totally.
That's hot.
Yeah, she did a great Gollum. And so when I was in the garage one day and I found an old paperback copy of The Hobbit, and I was like, oh my, like it felt like treasure to me because my mom had been talking about this book. So I went inside and I started reading it.
So your first book was a fantasy book.
Yeah, it was. And weirdly, my first Stephen King book was kind of a fantasy book because it was The Talisman. And that was a few years later. I was 8 years old, and my mom was an avid Stephen King reader. and she would always buy the hardbacks from. It was before it was Costco. It was called Price Club, the one in Long Beach, and they would always have the table of new books, same as they do now, I guess. But there was always a Stephen King book there, and she would always pick one up. And the Talisman, like I remember being intrigued that there were two people's name on the cover. Clearly, that has stuck with me. So there were two people's name on the cover. It was Stephen King and this other person, and I don't know why, but just I do remember why. I took that one. It was because she kept talking about there's like a werewolf who like sings Creedence Clearwater Revival songs, and she was just like, I think there was a Creedence song on the
I do not remember that.
The radio, and she said something about this character, and I was just intrigued, and I was done reading it, and it was just on her nightstand, so I just swiped it, and that totally changed my life, because I was kind of in love with his language right away. And I remember on like page 1 or 2, like right at the beginning, the main character, one of the kids in his class calls him penis breath. And I'm like, oh my God, this shit is amazing.
That's my nickname.
I just thought, like, any author that uses the words penis breath, I can't wait to find out what happens. And so I read the whole thing, and like Stephen King was my favorite author by far growing up.
So what are you counting as your first book that you wrote? Is it the one that's in the trunk, or Four Seasons, or something else?
No, I would definitely say the first book that I ever wrote is the one that I would love to return to someday, but like it's just so much bigger than me, and I've never got my head around what it needs to be. We've talked about this on the show, going back to our very first episodes, that sometimes your first book, like, it is terrible, and my first book is very, very bad, and but it has everything in it. Like, it has mythology and religion and like AI.
It's like a Bollywood film.
Yeah, kinda. Yeah, it has everything in it. It's 600 pages, and it's nonsense. Like, it goes nowhere. It's a lot of like individual scenes that maybe the one scene can kind of hold together on its own, but as soon as you put it next to the next scene, like it's not good. The one reader that I had read it, which is a college professor and was a friend of Cindy's, and she referred to it as a narrative. I think a narrative nightmare or a narrative disaster, one of the two. But the reason that I kept writing is because she said that, she's like, look, I can't. She said, it's taken me a long time to make this phone call because I didn't know quite how to say this, but this book is bad. The book is bad. It's a narrative disaster. But the part that kept me writing actually was because she said, but there are long passages of staggering genius, and I really think you have something that you should stick with. And so I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to do it again then. And I figured it was a craft I could get better. Like I didn't know how to write, but I could learn.
And the second book was what?
The second book would be Penny to a Million, which was
has a great cover.
I would say that was I wrote that basically to impress Cindy, and I wrote it in 2 weeks and then put it away because I thought it couldn't be very good, because how could anything be good if it was written in 2 weeks? It was like 40,000 words maybe. And then the first like kind of grown-up book that I wrote was Four Seasons, which was just 12 short stories that kind of Magnolia style interconnected. And then my first collaborative book right after that was Available Darkness with Dave.
Yes, and Available Darkness would be my first book that I finished. Although
But you
I
wrote a
finished
bunch of smaller things beforehand, right?
Yeah, I wrote like all my life. A lot of short stories, a lot of starts, a lot of stops. Never really followed through on any of it. I would, jump from one thing to another. And I think part of it was I didn't really know what to do next. But the bigger part I feel was I didn't really believe in myself and didn't think that the story was good. So
you didn't submit anything to like publications or?
No, I never did anything like that. I just assumed they would tell me to fuck off. So,
And here, I'll take on the role of the interviewer. And who was your first reader as a reader? Who was your favorite author? Who did you read?
well, in middle school, I read a lot of the horror books for kids. I know Lois Duncan was one of the authors. I don't remember the other ones. It was like the cheap scholastic horror, and I loved the fuck out of those. Because I had insomnia even then. I'd stay up all night reading.
Did you ever read Alfred Hitchcock and the Three Investigators?
I don't think so. I read his short stories, the collections of those. The first, I guess adult books would be. I'm trying to remember which Stephen King book it was. I don't know if it was Talisman or not. I think I read other stuff before the Talisman. I know I read the short stories first, probably.
When did you read it? And did the child orgy change your life?
I never finished it. I never even got past like halfway of it.
What?
Yeah, I wasn't enjoying it. I don't even know why. Like, I like the movie.
Oh man,
I don't know.
It until it gets to the end, it is like maybe my favorite King experience growing up. Like I loved it, and then I'm like, what the fuck, turtle and kids fucking? Like this guy is off his rocker.
Yeah, like I didn't know it was that kind of book. Maybe I would have read it as a horny teenager. Who knows?
I don't remember that. I mean, I went back and looked after people talked about it, but it was like a drive-by. Like, I don't know if I just couldn't really figure out that's what was going on, and because I was too young, but I was like, what? It was one of those things. And
I was in 6th grade and kind of just like waking up, anyway. And I was like, am I reading this correctly? am I understanding what is on this page? And then I kind of
He is a man that said penis breath, so.
right.
I put it away where those things go. And then later on, many, many years later, I went back and I'm like, that is what I remember.
I think, but the first time, like, I was very impressed by. I mean, I liked all his short stories that I read. Like Skeleton Crew might have been the first collection, but the Stand I fucking loved, and then the Talisman is the one that just really lit me up. And that one was like one that I read actually during summer school. So I remember like when I actually read it, like on the bus and shit. And then I like shared it with my best friend. Yeah, so that's probably the book that really like I want to do something like this. So
I love that we're all Stephen King. I'm rereading The Stand right now. I actually have an amusing Stephen King fanship turned writing career story. And I think it was with the Bialy Pimps. It was when I got real serious about like trying to write for real. And I wrote in Microsoft Word because I didn't realize yet that it sucks for writers. Apologies to all of you who use it, but I hate it. And Sean, why do I hate Microsoft Word?
Because it thinks it's smarter than you.
That's exactly right. It thinks it's smarter than me.
I hate it because it got rid of Clippy. I like Clippy.
Clippy, oh my God. But anyway, I remember.
Hey, Dave, do you want to write some Clippy fanfic with me?
Oh yeah, porny fanfic.
Already on it.
Yeah. Like that magnetic holder and the clip man. No, I remember when I was writing my book and I would use, how Stephen King always uses internal thoughts.
Yeah.
And that's something that I use to this day.
Same.
Sean, like there's thoughts in every book. And
M dashes.
But I remember copying exactly how he did it. Like I remember saying, okay, so, and he doesn't always do it the same. So like a sentence would just end. Like there's no punctuation, no dash, no period, no whatever. And then there'd be a new paragraph. And sometimes that paragraph would be indented, but I seem to remember the times that it wasn't. And sometimes it would be in parentheses and the first letter wouldn't be capitalized and it wouldn't be punctuated. And like I remember doing that exact thing. I was like, okay, how did King do it? It's in italics, it's in parentheses,
That's the rules.
Yeah, I totally just deliberately stole it. And by the way, for anybody who needs this, I've heard this before and I've repeated it. it's okay to steal when you're, well, that's the whole thing, right? Like great artists steal, because you're not plagiarizing literally. You're doing something that is then a jumping off
the
point for your
Anthropic
art.
business model.
So I think that's okay. I think it's okay to steal stuff like that because you're going to remix it. And I think everything's remixing.
Yeah, I think, the first stories we write are like imitations of our heroes. And then, like,
Well,
one of the
Miles
things
Davis
I
has that quote. He's like, man, sometimes it takes a really long time to sound like yourself.
Yes.
Yeah, totally.
And like I used to think about, like, before I was a writer, I was like, well, what is my voice? I don't know my voice. And then, when I started writing, it was like, well, this is very like Stephen King, Dean Koontz sort of territory. But even, as I started writing and writing more and more, like, I have my own style. I would say it leans closer to Stephen King, but it is, I think, it's a thing you discover as you go.
I thought I wrote like Stephen King, but I don't. When I went back and looked at his, like, revisited him, I was like, oh, I don't write like, and nor do we have any books, Sean, that are really Stephen King. People be like, I'm into Stephen King. What do you have? I'm like, strangely nothing, even though he's like my biggest
Jonathan
influence.
Friends
Is definitely more of the register.
Oh yeah, totally Michael Crichton. And I didn't. I think I probably started writing like Michael Crichton. I don't know if this is entirely accurate, but it's got to be close. I feel like I started writing like Michael Crichton before I read Michael Crichton, and then it was more like, oh, this is a fit rather than I'm emulating.
Yeah, that sounds right to me. Although you did start referencing Sphere like early on, so I don't know if when did you read Sphere?
Well, okay. Keep in mind that my writing, I would say that my kind of like narrative style probably formed a lot of that happened before I actually completed a book. Because I write about the same way, I just write it with more facility and more point now. But I think the style was similar, obviously not the same. So, no, I don't know when I read it, but, and I haven't read a ton of Crichton. I've read I've read a decent amount. But it's interesting, though, the way that, because, for people who haven't heard that, like, I think I write a lot like Michael Crichton. And
Yeah,
ever
I do
since
too.
I noticed it, then I find myself leaning into some of the passages that I really enjoy and being like, well, this has the feel of that passage or something like that. I think it's okay to do that.
Now, so the thought I had, coming up with this show and responding to the email was to do with the choices we make. Okay, so beyond the first book, we wrote stuff that sold. It just happened to be stuff we also liked to write. But there is the commerce question, like, how much do you feel pulled to write something to make money versus writing something that you genuinely just want to write, and you would write it whether or not you got money for it? And I think the answer is a little different for Sean because, Sean's, heading up a story studio and like you have to think about, payroll and, all the other people involved. So I feel like your projects are chosen a little differently.
Well, they have been historically, but I actually have a different answer for that today. But
okay.
Johnny, do you want to go first on this? I mean,
Sure. I think that I probably would have told you that I write whatever I want, and that's true. It remains true. However, I think I can refine it. And I think that the stuff that I like to write, and obviously most of that includes stuff that I'm writing with Sean, that's a wide enough footprint that there's plenty of commercial stuff inside that footprint. And so I would never write. So, for instance, thanks to Dungeon Crawler Carl, Lit RPG is, well, it's been hot for a while, but like it's having a resurgence, or Romantasy is like super big deal. No interest in writing either of those, and I couldn't write either of those. So I'm not going to do that. Or like if, I wrote Fat Vampire, but like when vampires get hot, it's not like I'd say, well, let me stop everything and write a vampire book necessarily, although I kind of like vampires. It has to be something that I'm interested in, but I think that I've gotten a little bit better about thinking along the terms of it's yes, it needs to be for me or for the project, but it sure would be nice if more people were interested in it. So I'm not and this is, I can only speak to the choices that I'm making solo, because obviously a lot of them involved, you too, Sean. But I'm thinking more like, kind of like, why not, right? Like I can enjoy everything. So why not try to hit the target a little bit, at least, if that makes sense.
Dave, do you want to go?
Yeah, I think, I think early on we were writing, whatever we wanted, and it happened to sell well, and that was cool. I think after that, we had an obligation to like close boxes and stuff, and I think that's like the first time that we were writing something that maybe we didn't necessarily like, wouldn't be our first choice to write, because we had an obligation to readers to finish the story we started. And after that, I feel that, we wrote some things, ideas we thought would sell better, after we kind of like, burned out and stuff, or I burned out anyway. So I feel that some of the stories we've written since then, we haven't even published all the stories. I feel that, like the scripts and stuff like that. So there's some things that like I like that we did. There's other things that felt like an obligation. And I mean, I'm lucky enough that usually I can, enjoy the obligatory story. But if I had to if I was on my own, what would I write? I would probably write a combination of, probably some young adult thing, and maybe horror, young adult, and fantasy. That would be the two things I would write. Mostly, I think. So.
Yeah, I think in the early days, I mean, I was writing with both of you guys separately, and they had like kind of very different calls to them. With Johnny, it was always like fun. Like, what's the wild idea? Because Johnny would write unicorns, and he would also write like hard future sci-fi. So it was, what is the cool idea that I want to express? And Johnny was, a remarkable creative partner for like really any idea. And then with you, Dave, like I tended to just defer to whatever you wanted to write, because like you're definitely not as open-minded as to what kinds of stories you want to write, but you'll go deep with whatever it is, and as long as it's within your interest. And so that's fine. I feel like my job as a collaborator is to lean on my, on the collaboration and think like, what is the fruit on this tree, and how do I pick it? And so, and then, yeah, we went into like many seasons of, well, we need to be a profitable company. And then for several years, I was basically just assigned stuff. And whether it was ghostwriting or writing for the company or writing for a pen name, like I would just write whatever I was told to write. And those weren't always the right decisions. And it turns out that they weren't very profitable always. And so now I'm of two minds. One is I only want to write things that I want to write. And very much like I would say I err on the side of what Johnny is saying here, where if like I'm so genre agnostic, I just want to tell stories. And so my job is to find the commercial bent in whatever story I'm going to tell. But I tend to think of commerciality as part of what I'm doing anyway, because everything I write, like I want to see it. Not that I expect everything I write to eventually be on film or television. Like that's not accurate. But does it have the potential to be on, a movie or a TV show? Well, then if that potential is there, then I'm going to kind of bake it into the premise or the execution in some way anyway. And so that has a bit of inherent commerciality to it. And I'm back in a place where I just want to do fun. And so there's a couple of things I will say about that. The first is that we've kind of orbited this idea a lot. That I basically think that words and stories, like they just don't have the value that they've had previously because there's so much of it. We're just inundated with so much story. But because of that, the relationship that you have with the storyteller is even more valuable. And so I think that if I'm writing stuff that is just supposed to hit some commercial box, that doesn't mean as a company we don't have those boxes that we're trying to tick and getting stuff specifically commercial for market. But I've never succeeded in that way. Even when I'm told, hey, write this to this template, to this outline, to this commercial sensibility, that's not where I thrive. Where I thrive is coming up with a cool idea, a cool world, cool characters, and cool articulation of that idea. And so I just want to do that over and over and over again. And so I feel like, I mean, I've got a couple of years worth of books banked. And so it's now anything I'm putting onto my plate, like it needs to be something I'm excited about. Oh, this matches a script that I want to write, or a script that's already written and now I want to put the book out. Or, I'm starting to write a lot with Sawyer Black, and we have a whole bunch of stuff coming. And we had, the question is, what are we going to have the most fun doing? And the book that I have coming out next month. So this actually should have been my something cool. After almost a year of not publishing anything, I have a book coming out every single month. The first one came out last Tuesday. The
It's
Concierge.
fun to see that, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's a luxury thriller that takes place, on a billionaire yacht, and there's a concierge who that doesn't matter. Like,
You remember why I'm saying that, though, right?
Yes. Well,
Because I took a stab at it before petering out, and so it was like, yay, the idea has life.
Yeah. Well, no. Wasn't that concierge?
No, it was the concierge.
Oh, I didn't remember.
Yeah,
that.
no, I
With the
lost
Epstein
it. I couldn't-
Island?
That was like
Well-
that was like the first book that that was where the trouble started, right? That was where I couldn't finish it.
Oh, I didn't remember that. Well, that is fun. This has a whole story, and we won't get into it now about why it sat for a couple of years. But it was really fun to put that out. And originally, that wouldn't have even had my name on it, and it's cool that it's out there. And the book that's coming out next month is with Sawyer, and it's ridiculous, you guys. It is stupid. I'll talk about it.
Can't wait for this one.
At another time, but it is ridiculous, and the premise is ridiculous, but it also has this weird commercial potential to it, and it's only going to realize its commercial potential if we have ultimate fun with it. And so we're thinking, what is the way to exploit this idea as much as possible? And I'll tell this whole story later because I know we're running out of time, but the idea now is I need to have fun with what I'm doing, because I think that fun translates. I think that when you have fun writing something, the reader feels that, and that's what they want, because that's not what, AI can't duplicate that feeling. And so I need to be excited about the things that I'm writing, and I feel like as long as I'm excited about what I'm writing and I do have a mind to the commercial potential of it, then everything else will kind of slot into place.
So my advice to the writer in question was, depending on money, if you have a job that you currently have and that's keeping the lights on, keep that job right on the side. I think that's the best possible way to get into writing, because you don't have to depend on that to make your money. But my suggestion was, write the thing that you would write whether or not you got paid or not. Write the thing that you love, because at the end of the day, if the book doesn't sell well, then you really feel like you sold your soul for nothing. But at least if you put out a great book and it didn't sell, well, you put out a great fucking book. And sometime someone's going to probably discover that, and you never know when it'll be. There's books that, sat on shelves for years before somebody influential found it. And yeah.
Yeah, I have a cool story there, but we're out of time, so I won't tell it. Just big +1 on that.
Yeah, I think that it is more important than ever to write to your heart, because you can produce books very fast right now, but why does that matter? It doesn't matter. The market is saturated, so you need to write things that only you can write. And I think that if you're trying to write to market to such an extreme that you're just trying to hit genre tropes and all of that, then there was a window where that could be very profitable. I just don't see it now. That is sunsetting. If it's not gone completely, it will be soon. It really is about the relationship with your reader, and I think that is worth more and more just leaning into and figuring out what version of the story could only you tell, right? So if you like Children in the Basement, put more of them in there.
In your stories, not in real life. That's my angle. All right. Well, thank you all for listening. I enjoyed this conversation. Next week, we'll have another alternate endings, and sign up for the newsletter, The Dispatch, at smarterartist.net/dispatch to get weekly dose of Dave goodness into your email inbox.
Adios, everyone.
They chase the spark, we own the dark. They feed the scroll while we leave a mark. No tricks, no hacks, just the code they lack. Yeah. We stay on the rails while they fall off the track. Smarter artists never die. Yeah. We don't lay stone for spectacle, don't frame for applause. We build the boring way with discipline and pause. They expect the penthouse view before the footing is set. A crown without calluses, a win without sweat. The craft is in the mortar, not the hunger for more. Not the facade that cracks with a hollowed out core. You want the trick, it's tedious, it's thankless, it's true. Show up with intention till the structure starts showing you. They go fast, we go far. Paper planes versus iron bars. They chase spikes, we stack days. We build the house that never fades. Let them run, let them fly. Smarter artists never die. Yeah. Yeah. They chase vanity metrics that die at the peak. We pour the slow foundations while they sprint for the streak. We don't rent our attention to whatever blows through. We're setting corner posts for storms they never knew. We're not racing to the ribbon, we're widening the base. Let the footing fully cure before the frame locks in place. Every draft's another course, every session's a beam. We're not chasing momentum, we're constructing the dream. They go fast, we go far. Paper planes versus iron bars. They chase spikes, we stack days. We build the house that never fades. Let them run, let them fly. Smarter artists never die. They'll throw parades while you're still setting the forms. Pop champagne and glass towers while you're bracing for storms. Some nights you wonder if the blueprints are lie, if the long game's just patience that forgot how to fly. But scars become low bearing when the structure survives. When the fast builds crack open and the slow ones stay alive. We don't ask for permission, we don't wait to be seen. We're drafting our futures in the quiet in between. They go fast, we go far. Paper planes versus iron bars.